playoffs, we keep ticking off these games, but some of this drama we're seeing feels like playoff games right now, Ross. That's what we saw in Indy between the Packers and the Colts.
Yeah, this was an exciting week of football, I'm telling you. The Packers and the Colts coming down to the end. We see it in overtime. Look, this is, at the end of the day, the Colts did a terrific job defensively at halftime. Green Bay basically scored all their 28 points in the first half. Right. Second half, 0, nothing. 3 points before the end of the game. So hats off to the Colts. They did a great job in kind of keeping that offense at bay.
We're going to show you that highlight in a moment. Colts winning it in overtime thanks to a field goal. Matter of fact, we have it right now. Let's show you what happened there in Indy. Again, a pretty good quarterback matchup with Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers going at it. A little NFC-AFC matchup here. It's 31-28. Colts with the lead. Minute 15 to go. Aaron Rodgers with a long field in front of him, Tim Hasselbeck.
Yeah, listen, that's a crazy throw right there off his back foot. And it's really bad defense there. Tampa 2, and they don't run deep enough down the middle.
All right, so now it's 2nd and 10. Rodgers, come on. That throw, Rob, are you serious?
Going darts, 50 yards downfield.
The arm talent is still there. All right, so they kick the field goal. It goes to OT. They get the ball, and then here, they were just ready to get a first down, and the ball comes out. Julian Blackmon forces the fumble. DeForest Buckner comes up with the loose ball. Colts right there in field goal range. And a couple plays later, Rodrigo Blankenship on from 39 yards out. Ball game. Colts come back on the Packers to win it 34-31. Rivers had 3 touchdowns, and he threw a pick. And check out the largest blown leads the Packers have had with Aaron Rodgers as the starting quarterback. This one, wow, this one's going to hurt. This one's going to hurt for a while. Up 14 on the road, but they can't get it done. Tim, bring in this conversation because you're down 21-7, you're the Colts, but you got Phillip Rivers there. You know, he's seen pretty much everything the NFL can throw at him, but to take his team sort of by the collar and force them to go down and tie the game, take the lead, what do you say about his performance?
Well, it's impressive, especially when you look at, that's now a 7-win football team. And so, the decision to sign Phillip Rivers is looking pretty good right now. And look, I think when you look at this game, there's a lot to digest from it because there are moments, like you saw in the highlight, where Aaron Rodgers is amazing. But then you have other plays in that game where he fumbles a quarterback exchange, and there's moments in that football game, as Rob was alluding to, in terms of what the second half looked like, a fumble on special teams, the inability to get a stop defensively. And so Green Bay, that, at times has looked amazing, but yeah, I think the Colts had a pretty good recipe in the second half.
Well, that's a good question to consider here, Rob, because you look at where Green Bay was in terms of being up by 14, but how much of that has to do with what the Packers were not doing versus what the Colts were forcing them to do?
Well, I think in the first half, you saw the Colts really, they didn't know how to play. You look at the defense, they were kind of just spot dropping. Aaron Rodgers was just throwing the ball all over the place. 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Right.
And then in the second half, it was like just a tale of 2 teams. The second half, they come out, defense tightens up a little bit more pressure on the quarterback, forcing fumbles in special teams. That always helps. When you can force a turnover on special teams, Cassius Marsh call out here, he forced that fumble.
Yep.
And hats off to Frank Ross, who took over for Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coordinator, went down right before this game with a positive COVID test. So Frank Ross steps in. Special teams plays great, and they were able to win this football game through special teams, playing physical up front on defensively. And you look at Rodgers at the end, he had a chance, but they weren't able to get it done. They turned it over, and the Indianapolis was able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, Tim, what do you make of the Packers' offense considering where it started and where it ended up, especially there in the second half?
Well, they lost opportunities. I am surprised that Aaron Jones, only had 10 carries in this football game. I don't think that's really the recipe that Green Bay wants to win with. I just think there were elements of this for Green Bay that didn't play well enough to win. I mean, this is pro football. Fumbling a quarterback exchange at this point in the season is kind of, unacceptable. And then, Aaron Rodgers turns this one over. He's cover 2, doesn't throw the ball deep enough. And then late in the football game, you get an opportunity to kind of have the ball in the perimeter with blockers. Julian Blackmon does make a great play, but if you're Marquez Valdez-Scantling, you can't turn the football over in that situation. Overtime, the way it's set up, obviously giving it up there. Field goal wins the football game. So there just were elements with that, and look, we want to give credit to the Colts for causing a turnover on special teams, causing a turnover late in the game. There is elements that if you are, a Super Bowl aspiring team like the Packers are, some of those mistakes, are also on you, just in terms of ball security and in terms of how you protect it to give yourself a chance to win.
Yeah, big comeback, though, for the Colts, down 14 to get to 7-3. Clearly a good outcome for them and their fans. Dan Graziano, new on SportsCenter, caught with Jonathan Taylor after the game.
Here with Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, you guys are down 14 points at the half. You come back and win in overtime. What was said by the coaches to you guys at halftime?
Really, one of the biggest things was we've been down here before. We've been in this situation before. We knew we had to do. We had to come out. We had to come out strong. Offense, defense, special teams. We got to make the plays that we know we can make.
We've been told you don't know from 1 week to the next which running back's going to have the big game. What was the key for you getting going today for 90 yards?
One of the biggest things was when we got the opportunities, we had to take it. I mean, this is the team. You're going against a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. You got to make sure you capitalize on the opportunities to keep him off of the field.
What do you say about your defense? Came this close to holding the Packers scoreless in the second half until right there at the very end.
I think it's a testament to the players that we have, the leadership. You got a guy like 53 on your team that can really juice you up and juice the entire team up. You just want to play for one another, and I'm glad that it's our defense that's on my team, and I don't have to go against them.
Another big one next week. Tennessee won today. They're coming in. Battle for first place. How are you guys feeling about that?
It's hard to beat a team twice, but the way you do that is you got to go in, have a great week of practice, great week of preparation, go out there and execute.
Man, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, you go back, you see that the Colts sort of did the same thing in back-to-back statement wins. They beat the Titans by scoring the game's final 20 points. Now they beat the Packers by scoring 20 of the game's final 23. So even though they're down, clearly a lot of belief in this squad, Tim, that when they're down, they still feel like they have enough to come back against, regardless of who they're playing. In fact, two teams right now that would be playoff teams.
Yeah, well, I think that's, it's kind of one of these things where if you're a team, and you can almost sense it in that interview with Jonathan Taylor there, where it's like, look, we've kind of been in these situations. We don't lose faith. They do have a really good defense. And so, look, when you get stops, you create opportunities for your own offense. And they certainly did that and did it against, a very good offense and a good football team. I think you look at, part of what happened, too, to give them probably even a little bit more credit. There's a holding, penalty that probably doesn't impact the play, that takes away, a Jonathan Taylor touchdown that would win the football game in regulation. So, look, I think it's a really good football team with a good offensive line, an excellent defense. And if Phillip Rivers can protect the football and just kind of be the presence that they've hoped for him to be, they're a good team, and they'll be a hard out for anybody. And I think that Frank Reich's done a nice job. Even little things like the way he played Jacoby Brissett, in short yardage situations today. If something else you have to prepare for when you face them, I think they've done a nice job. And I think that, they're going to be a tough team to deal with going forward.
Well, let me ask you that, Rob, sort of piggybacking off what Tim was saying. How legitimate is this Colts squad?
No, I think they're really legitimate. When you have a defense, look, defense wins championships. Yep. And I like the Jacoby Brissett coming in on certain plays. We saw him more this week. Rivers coming out. It's kind of like the Drew Brees, Taysom Hill thing where he can come in, they do some run plays. Then that just adds another defense that you have to go over.